She forgot she gave the tickets to the girlfriend, okay, that she's killing now. And now is trying to dispose of the body by lighting it on fire and burning it. And she's watching the flames ensue and forgets, oh, she has the tickets on her. She put it in her pockets. Yeah. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video, and we are back with another review. And as you can tell by the title, we are finally going to be discussing Swarm, which was a new TV show actually created by Janine Neighbors and Donald Glover. And recently I found out, I don't know if it's entirely true, but I think I saw it over on Instagram. They said that one of Michelle and Barack Obama's daughters, I always mix them up, she's the oldest and I can't remember her name. Either way, I'm just gonna put it on the screen, her name. But they said that she actually co-wrote Swarm with Donald Glover. Y'all let me know, confirm if this is true or not, okay? But that's what I'm seeing. So originally this came out over on Amazon Prime, and ooh, child, people have been talking about this and non-stop since it dropped for many reasons that we're gonna get into, trust me, okay? So we're gonna start off with the cast, and then I'm gonna hop into the storyline, my thoughts, and then all the craziness that ensued after it dropped, what people's thoughts were online, all that good stuff. In terms of the cast, we have Dominique Flashback, she's playing Dre. Then we have Chloe Bailey, I believe she's playing Marissa. Then Damson Idris, he plays Marissa, anyway, her boyfriend. And then Billie Eilish, she actually plays a retreat leader or instructor or something like that. When I saw her, I was like, Billie Eilish, what is she doing in here? You know what I mean? And then when you actually watch the show, it starts to make sense. Some other possibly well-known names, we have Paris Jackson, who you guys maybe would know as Michael Jackson's daughter. And you know, she came out, she was actually in one of the very first couple of episodes. It's 7 episodes in total, but I think she was maybe in the 2nd or 3rd. But she comes up pretty soon in the show. So on Google, it says an obsessed Houston-based fan goes to increasingly violent lengths for her favorite R&B singer. So yeah, as soon as you see that, you already know that it's gonna get intense real fast. As soon as you see obsessed fan, just kind of like, okay, clearly they're trying to get to the singer, right? So Dre, who's played by Dominique, she is the main character. She is who the whole show is based on, and we find out a lot of things, obviously, in terms of how the storyline unravels throughout the episodes. We find out who she is, her relation to everybody, yada yada. She is the obsessed fan. She becomes the obsessed fan. I gotta be honest, I binge watched the entire 7 episodes in a day. Okay, my boyfriend told me I needed to watch it, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Binge watch the entire thing one evening. Done. Done deal, okay? And in my mind, I was making mental notes after every episode. I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk about this, I'm gonna bring this up in the video, so hopefully I don't forget nothing, right? So Dre is the obsessed fan in this show, and her and Marissa, they're basically sisters for right now, but I'm gonna go into detail later about their connection to each other. So technically for now, we're just gonna say they're sisters, okay? They live together, and it opens up, this is one of the first things that people had some things to say about on Twitter especially. It opens up into the scene of Dre walking in on Chloe, or Marissa in this sense, getting her back blown out. Okay, I know that sounds very explicit to say, but basically getting her back blown out by Damson Idris, her boyfriend. And I was like, okay, this is very interesting. Damson Idris's character is Khalid. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Khalid or Khalid. I never know how to pronounce it. I know there's a singer name with the same name, and I'm just like, Khalid? Khalid? I have no idea. That's what people were talking about. They were like, oh my God, this is a lot to be putting in the first scene of the first episode, don't you think? You know what I mean? A lot of people did give their feedback, and some was positive, some were shocked, you know, genuinely surprised, and other people were like disgusted with the fact that it was Chloe, and it was just kind of like, ugh, why? And I didn't really honestly see Chloe in that moment. I just saw the character that she was playing. So I didn't really make the connection that people were having. Like, I guess the fact that Chloe, you know, they still see her as a young person, right? And it's just kind of like we forget the fact that she is in her 20s at this point, you know, and she could do whatever she wants. And on top of that, it's acting, it's not real, you know what I mean? So it was just kind of like, But I can understand what people were saying about her, you know, playing that character, and they intertwined her character with her as a person in real life. And they were just kind of like, because you could see her image, her face and everything in the shot, it's just like, ooh, that's all I'm going to envision now whenever I see you performing or singing or doing whatever it is, you know? So I could kind of understand it, but at the same time, I just kind of disconnected the two. It's not really real, so I was just kind of like, whatever. We move on. What I find really strange about that situation, though, was not even the back shots. It wasn't even that for me. It was the fact that Dre, the sister, is just watching them. She stands there for a good 30 seconds to a minute just watching them have sex, and it was just like, why? You know? So from that moment, I knew she was very off. Not just weird, but off. Probably mentally. Marissa and Dre are working together. Now, unfortunately, because Dre decides to go off to find a gift with Khalid for Marissa, she ends up leaving the stall that they work at, was vandalized, and then I think they end up losing their job. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, it leads to an argument. Marissa is just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going with Khalid to go to wherever it is. And we also see, before we get into that actually, before they went to work, we also see Dre, she's using these credit cards that she gets in the mail to basically buy tickets to go see this R&B singer that she's obsessed with. And in this case, it's Naja. Naja is the singer she's obsessed with, and she just is buying these tickets, a couple thousands of dollars worth. And then she actually posts the fact that she got these tickets on her, I think it was like a Twitter page. It's basically kind of like a fan account. You could tell that when Marissa was doing Dre's makeup at one point, she was like, why are you still posting on this? Because apparently they were both fans of Naja at one point, but with Dre, the obsession never died. You know, it was more like a, let's just build on that obsession. So Marissa's just like, yeah, why are you still posting on that? You know what I mean? It's weird. But Dre, she never really disassociated herself from really being entwined with this singer. Obviously, we see her buying the tickets. She posted on there. Marissa, when she has that argument with Dre, you know, Dre is just like, hey, I have tickets to go see Naja. And she's just like, Marissa anyway, she's just like, what do you mean you're broke? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a job, but we're barely making ends meet. Where are you finding the money? Thousands of dollars at that to go buy tickets to go see Naja. She never tells her that she just happened to find a credit card in the mail that they were given to her. Okay, and she just decides to buy the tickets. So Marissa ends up speeding off. She goes to meet Khalid, and we find out that Khalid basically was cheating on her, I guess, sort of. And she comes back. She's messaging the hell out of Dre, and she's just like, where are you? But of course, Dre, in this moment, she's still kind of upset with Marissa. She's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out, do some stuff, go to the club. She ended up waking up with a stranger. We never see the stranger again, by the way. Yeah, but that was a one-night stand situation, I guess. But it was very strange. But either way, she ends up missing all these text messages because her phone dies. And you could clearly see Marissa's just like frantically messaging her like, hey, you were right. He was cheating on me. He's not good for me. That type of thing. Yada, yada, right? And she's just like, I'm messed up right now. So she was on some things, okay? And ultimately, Dre comes back home to find Marissa on the bed. She looks as though she's sleeping. She starts talking to her, have a conversation, but she's actually dead. So that was a turning point with Dre. I think Dre was kind of contained up until that death because they were basically sisters in her mind. So she took that really hard. And when we go to the funeral scene, The family of Marissa, which I thought because they were sisters, they were also Dre's family, but we come to find out that Dre was actually adopted. So she was the adopted sister. She wasn't biologically related to Marissa. So clearly they had some bad blood, Dre and Marissa's family. So we already get to see a little bit of that. It boils over even more after that, okay? So shortly after that whole situation, she gets kicked out of the funeral. We see the symbolism. She goes outside of a beehive. So the beehive is supposed to be representative of Naja's fans, okay? The singer that she's obsessed with. And I was like, is this supposed to be representative of like Beyonce fans? Like the Bayhive, you know, beehive? That's what I was wondering. You get to see again so many symbols basically connecting you to Naja. And then they start making it a lot more apparent that, oh, we're talking about Beyonce basically in this season. Shortly after this, like I said, Dre begins to unravel. She loses the apartment, and we just have like a jump from when she loses the apartment and they're moving furniture out to her working as an exotic dancer. And we find out that the reason she's even working as an exotic dancer is to find a man that said that basically he wasn't a fan of Naja. Okay, he said some mean things, okay, about music and all that. And obviously Dre took that very personal because she is very much so in this sense of, geez, it's a parasocial relationship, but it's on 10. It's on crack at this point. She decides to start working at this strip club basically to make money, you know, as a side gig. Obviously that's a plus, but her main reason is to find this man, hunt him down, and take him out. But we're gonna get to that. So Dre, she goes with some dancers to a party. They end up driving out of the party after it ends, and they have car trouble. After the car trouble, we end up seeing a guy pull up as they are basically stranded on the side of the road, and he's just like, hey, you need some help. And Dre realizes it's the same man that she was trying to track down. So she was like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna use this opportunity. So they go to his house because he could fix their car issues at his house. Dre makes it super awkward with everybody in the house, and she just puts this guy on the spot. It's just like, who's your favorite artist? I was like, what the hell is happening? He answers, he gives some other person's name, and she's just comparing that person to Naja. And it gets super, super awkward, and he just walks away. They get their car fixed. She goes outside. Okay, everybody go outside into the car. They're waiting on her because she says, oh, I need to pee. So she goes back into the house. They're waiting in the car for her. This girl goes into the bathroom because she hears the shower's on. So she's trying to prepare for this guy to basically come out the shower so she could beat him with a cast iron skillet. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So because he was in the shower, he comes up behind her, and she just delayed reaction. First of all, she takes a minute to actually try and swing at him. When she actually lands the hit, he takes it to the ground, and the other ladies in the car, they come in and they see that he's on top of her, so they're thinking, oh, you're trying to do some things to her. So one of the women had a gun on her, and she shoots him. He dies. And they're like, okay, what do we do? But, you know, like, we should tell, but they're not going to believe us because we're strippers. Moral of the story is, Dre, she leaves them all at the crime scene. Done deal. She ends up going now from there to another spot. She ends up taking this other guy out, asking before she does it now, again, her trademark is, who's your favorite artist? When the person answers, if it's not Naja, problematic. You're dying. Obviously, I don't even know why she asked that question to begin with. She knows what her intentions are. You know, so it was very interesting watching that escalate from one person to the other. Like, what is happening? What is the goal here? You know, I thought originally it was just to meet Naja, but now it's to take everybody out in the process that does not like her. Okay, that tweets out something negative about the person. Like, you must be just as obsessed as I am with her. If you're not, That's it. You see, obviously, that it keeps getting crazier and crazier. One person after another just disappearing. And I'm just like, how in the world is nobody on your trail? Like, how are you not getting caught? She ends up pretty much finding this man who was staying on the property because she was actually trying to hunt down another victim, okay, potentially. But she doesn't actually follow through with it. She sees this guy on the elevator with a jacket and she's just like, okay, go follow him. Another thing I want to also mention is the fact that she keeps Marissa's phone and is texting herself from Marissa's phone to make it seem like Marissa is the one texting her, obviously. So you could tell from that, again, she's not dealing with this death well at all. She sees a text message on the elevator that says, follow this guy, okay, follow the guy with the jacket. And they end up staying together. And what's so weird about this is that she tries to pass off breaking into this man's house and saying, I'm trying to escape basically my significant other that's trying to, hurt me. So obviously the guy's gonna take pity on you and keep you in the house. But I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, why would you just have a stranger in your house? No verified information that they're not lying to you. I'm just saying, it's just very strange that you would just invite someone to stay with you and it's just you in the house with that person. But okay. He's very trusting, too trusting at that. He allows her to stay and he is actually a recovering, I guess, food addict. So he used to be super overweight and decided to change his life because his girlfriend, she passed away from the same issue. So he changed his life, starts eating super healthy, and she's just like, okay, so when am I going to eat my junk food? Super late at night, she eats the junk food, she cracks out the chips, and the guy's just like, give it here. And it's such a weird scene. You could tell it was like a sexual undertone, but with food. And it was like, what am I watching? I don't know if y'all remember that scene, but it was really, really strange. I felt so uncomfortable watching it. But anyway, that same guy the next day ends up taking her behind the scenes to a nausea party. So she's just like, oh, perfect. I get to go to the after party. I get to meet her. So she locks him in the freezer, takes his pass. She gets into the party, sees Naja. There's a whole deluded scene that you see in her mind, basically, of her seeing Naja. And she's just like, again, it seems so sexual, because she's grabbing like the food that's next to her on the tray and she's eating it all sensual and looking at Naja. And I was like, do you want to just be with her, be friends with her? Or is it that you want to like do things with her? I'm trying to understand what level of obsession we're working with here, Regardless, like I said, because of the beehive, we obviously think already Beyonce, okay? Naja is supposed to be Beyonce, right? So another thing in this scene that happens that's related to Beyonce, I don't know if y'all remember, but I think it was a year or two ago, Beyonce had a party and we found out from Tiffany Haddish that someone had bit Beyonce. I don't know if it was on her face, on her neck, I don't know, but someone bit her, okay? And in this scene, actually see that Dre was possibly the one that bit Naja, okay? So I was like, making all these brain connections, I was like, is this Beyonce? Like, what's happening? I hope this isn't real life. She really does have a stalker that's as crazy, One other thing that kind of made me think that this was real was the fact that before every episode, it said, this is not a work of fiction. Okay, any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is intentional. And I'm just like, are y'all doing this on purpose just to make it seem like this is some type of true story or documentary? I'm really trying to figure this out. And it gets even more confusing as you go through like the last, I would say 2 or 3 episodes, because they show you pictures of another person that you didn't see in the show. So it was like, what? And honestly, this doesn't surprise me that it is confusing for me, because with Donald Glover being like the writer, producer, whatnot, it makes sense, okay? Because Similar things for me happened with Atlanta, and I was like not understanding at all. I had to stop watching the show because it was making me mad. It was frustrating me that I couldn't understand what was going on. It was very all over the place, okay? This show was a little bit less so all over the place. Some things confused me, and that was one of them. But either way, like I said, it had a very interesting undertone to it. Dre runs away from this biting situation, but everyone is now frantically trying to figure out who bit Naja. Okay, everyone's on the internet making these videos and posts talking about someone needs to give up names, yada yada. But in real life, with the whole biting situation with Beyonce, I think Tiffany had confirmed possibly that it was Sanaya Lathan. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe it was her. Yeah, but anyway, obviously Dre ends up running away again, and she ends up in Tennessee, I think, at some point. And she gets pulled over by this cop, and the cop's just like, oh, I'm gonna give you a pass because you're just, you know, you're not from here, yada yada. But he decides to follow her basically to her hotel, okay, because he doesn't really believe what she's saying, you know, in terms of where she's staying and then also why she's in town, okay? So he follows her to the gas station. He's waiting on her, and one of the women inside the gas station notices that she is kind of on edge. She kept looking at the cop outside, and she obviously makes that deduction. It's just like, oh, you're kind of harassing her. Black woman, white cop. You know what I mean? Like that type of storyline. So she's just like, okay, I'm just gonna go outside, tell this cop off, and he's gonna leave. He ends up leaving because she kind of threatens to expose him on her social media platforms that seem to have a pretty big following. Now, nonetheless, this girl invites Dre back to her house because she doesn't really have any place to stay. She was just gonna sleep in her car on the side of the road somewhere. So they go to this house, which ends up being a retreat. Follow me here. It gets very cultish and weird shortly after we see Billie Eilish's character really start to play a heavy role in trying to figure out more about Dre. So when Dre started to realize that they were kind of playing her a little bit was when she couldn't find her phone, because she found that really weird that she couldn't find her phone. And on top of that, she realizes that there was actually blood on the seat in the back of her car because she had, you know, off somebody. So she went back to the car to check if the stain was still there, and it was gone. So she was like, what is happening? And then Billie Eilish's character, who I can't remember the name of, okay, she starts doing these weird sessions with her to expose her, to get more information out of her. Because at first Dre was saying that her name was something else, and then Billie Eilish's character is just like, nah, that's not your name. And she uses these weird tactics. Okay, I have to say weird because I don't exactly know what it is. Obviously, it's something to do with like psychology and whatnot. She's using these tactics to get information out of her. And we eventually see Dre start to crack. She gives her her real name. And on top of that, she basically says that, you know, I hurt some people. Basically, kill some people. And when they have this bonfire exercise, because like I said, it's a retreat, Dre hears some music coming from behind her, and she's just like, what is that? And everyone's just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Acting all weird, you know? And she's like, do you not hear the music playing? Because she suddenly remembers in that moment, oh yeah, the Naja concert. That was the whole reason that I came to Tennessee. She starts freaking out. She's just like, how long have I been here? Why did you not remind me that I have a concert? He started playing into this role of, I don't know what you're talking about. And Dre just is like, you know what? I'm leaving. In that moment, everything kind of cracked for her. Like, she started seeing everything correctly as it was again. During that time that she was staying with them, it did seem like kind of hazy, like she was almost under the influence of something. It was really weird. Honestly, the filming of this whole show, they did a really good job because you really feel like you're Dre a little bit, you know? It's very strange. Dre hops in her car, she's about to leave, and Billie Eilish's character walking through the window at her, she's like, hey, you know, it's 45 minutes away, you might as well just stay, like you're gonna miss it anyway, like what's the point, you know? It's okay, you've made so much progress. She kept saying that, you've made so much progress. And it's really weird nonetheless that you just accept a murderer, you know what I'm saying, into your house. It's now just okay, you're all like bonded together in a weird way. And it's just like, girl, what have you done in your past? Because Why is this okay to you? She's also weird to me. It turns into like a cult situation because all the girls start piling up around the car trying to block her from leaving. And I was like, okay. Even though they specifically said you could leave at any time. Wink, wink. She just turns to Billy's character and she's just like, hey, give me my phone. Like, I could care less what you have to say. Just give me my phone. And she does not want to give her the phone. I believe she does get the phone, but then she pretty much puts the pedal to the metal and drives over Billie Eilish's character. She kills her instantly on the spot. And all the girls start freaking out because they're just like, what is happening? Oh, I forgot to mention in the beginning, this is kind of what kicked off the killing spree, okay? Her first victim was actually Marissa's boyfriend, Khalid. Y'all, they kind of have this weird like moment of, I feel sorry for my part to play. It was a mistake. What Khalid was saying to Dre about what happened when Marissa came to meet up with him, whole cheating situation. So he felt bad about that and the fact that he didn't show up to Marissa's funeral. And Dre definitely took all this personal. So of course she internalizes all of this, but to make him comfortable, she's just patting him on the back like, it's okay, you know, that type of way. And then he goes to the fridge and she just takes something and whacks the crap out of him in the back of his head. And then just continues to go at it. And that's kind of how she continues to take out the rest of her victims. Except for the guy, because someone else shot him for her. So yeah. And then also Paris Jackson's character, she came in, she was one of the dancers at the strip club, and she just kind of shoves herself into Dre's life because she had a, you know, kind of abusive boyfriend at home, so she didn't want to go back to her house. So she just would try to stay with Dre. But the thing is, Dre takes it upon herself to go back to their house, the boyfriend and Paris Jackson's character, their house, and she takes the boyfriend out. Okay, she kills him. And Paris's character, Haley, she sees this. She sees that Dre is trying to get rid of her boyfriend's body. And instead of saying anything or losing her mind, she just kicks the body and is just looking at Dre like, okay, so after you bury the body, should we just go? Because I have snacks. And I'm like, what? What is happening? What is happening? So she's just okay with this. And because obviously she kept on talking, she was really, really annoying. Dre just ends up taking her character out. Okay, so no more Haley. No more Haley. But either way, back on track here, we start talking about the whole situation between Billie Eilish's character, Ava, okay? She gets ran over. And in that moment, Dre's just losing it. She's just, you know, having like a hyperventilation / happy moment. And she's just loving the adrenaline. And she drives off and the girls end up kind of following her. One of the girls was on top of the car and she presses brakes. And it was like, what is happening? It was just a feeding frenzy, really. And then after that, you see that Dre, she goes to the Naja concert, but it's over. So she did all of that for nothing. Yet again. The first time she got tickets to the Naja concert, she didn't end up going because she was going to go with Marissa and Marissa ended up dying. Second time, obviously the retreat, that situation ended up happening. She couldn't go. She was late. So she's very disappointed at this point. First time that she actually got to meet her, she ended up biting her. So yeah, regardless of all of that, y'all, there was a detective in the show. This is where it starts getting really weird and where I started trying to figure out, was it real or was it just that you wanted us to think it was real to scare us even more as the viewer? You know what I mean? So I was trying to figure out what they were doing. Like I said, the detective comes in and she obviously figures out that the killer that's going on this killing spree, taking everybody out, is a Black woman more than likely, based on a few things. That's all I'm gonna say. And what I find interesting though is that this detective is just going around trying to find evidence, trying to link everybody, link all the cases together to one person. And obviously she ends up meeting up with Marissa's mom. She finds out that, again, you know, Dre's adopted and they had some issues with her being kind of violent as a child. So that's when they decided that they couldn't be adoptive parents to her anymore. Marissa decided she was going to move out with Dre and they're going to live together. And they had been living together up until that point of the first episode. So it's very interesting because they use pictures and videos of another person that looks nothing like Dre. So I was trying to figure out, is this a documentary? Is this the real person? I was very confused because at the bottom it says, if you have any information about so-and-so's whereabouts, call this number. So it was very much so a weird experience for me as the viewer. I'm like, what am I watching? Is this a documentary? Is this a reenactment of something that actually happened? Are you just trying to make it seem like it's something that happened? It was a lot. It was a lot. But either way, I say all that to say, at the end of this show, they wrap up by basically saying that Dre is still at large. She ends up at the end cutting off all her hair, has a totally different look. Of course, she ends up meeting this one chick who introduces her to her family. They have this relationship, and because she is obsessed with Naja, at the beginning of their relationship, she expresses this obsession. And the girl that she's dating, I think it was Rashida, but either way, she is just like, listen, I don't really like her music like that. But surprisingly, because Dre seems to really like this girl, she leaves it at that. She's just like, you know what? Okay, you like what you like. You don't like what you don't like, which is shocking because obviously we've seen leading up to this point, the reason as to why she's been killing all these people is because they had opinions that differed from hers. You know, so it was very odd that she just let this girl live. But, however, not for long, because after quite a long time of dating, seems like a few months or so, Dre decides to buy some tickets to go see Naja, even though this girl explicitly told her, listen, I don't like Naja like that. So she gets all up in Dre's face. She's yelling at her like, you could have spent that money on something else. You could have took me out to dinner. She lost it, okay? And Dre, in that moment, very calmly just put her hands around her neck and just continued to squeeze. And y'all know where that went. And she actually forgot, okay? This is another thing that I'm like, girl, how? She forgot she gave the tickets to the girlfriend, okay, that she's killing now. And now is trying to dispose of the body by lighting it on fire and burning it. And she's watching the flames ensue and forgets, oh, she has the tickets on her. She put it in her pockets. Yeah. So unfortunately, she goes to the Naja concert. She finds out that she can't even get in. She finds the guy that she basically kills again that had some tickets, but they were gonna upcharge her. So she kills him, takes the tickets, and she gets into the concert. And shortly after she's in the concert, she makes her way over the railings, over basically the barricade, and gets on stage. And she's looking at Naja like, you're my prize. You know what I'm saying? You're my consolation prize. I'm here for you. And it just becomes so freaking weird. Okay, the security is obviously called, and then it's ended really weirdly. You actually see Naja and Dre in the car together. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? There was so many moments I'm like, is this real? Is this real? Is this a part of the show, or is this a part of Dre's dreams? Like, what am I watching? Y'all, so much confusion but intrigue all at the same time. I've been hearing so many people on TikTok talk about this show in, like, honestly, just flashbacks of like little bits and pieces that kind of made sense to them, and then the rest of it was just a blur. I'm just gonna be honest, so much of it did not make sense. I don't know if this was just a setup for the first season, because they did actually say when I looked the show up that Donald and the other writers, they were kind of inspired by some stories that they kind of collected over time with regards to, you know, murder and mystery, and then also like really obsessed fans that kind of take it to another level. They take stories from different celebrities, like real life stories. So I'm wondering if this season was just based on like a Beyonce Beehive type of theme, because like I said, it was a lot of symbolism. Oh, they also included the elevator scene. I don't know if y'all remember the elevator scene with Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Solange. Solange ends up for some strange reason in the elevator, kicking and punching Jay-Z, and they kind of had to hold her back. And Beyonce's just standing there. Yeah, so they had that scene. Naja, her man, and then also the sister. Okay, but obviously I don't think her name was Solange in the show. So they had that scene in there, and then they also had some Ivy Park. They had a fan wearing Ivy Park with the burgundy and the orange. They said that Naja actually had twins at one point, and I was like, okay, yes, this has to be the whole Rumi and Sir pregnancy, you know what I mean, with Beyonce. So there was a lot of things. I'm wondering if they're just gonna do different themes, like different celebrity themes for different seasons. I don't even know if this was just a limited series or what, but if they do continue, I will probably be watching. So this was a crazy show, but y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. Like I said, there was like levels of confusion and like parts where I thought I got it, but I didn't. Yeah, there was a lot of surprises and hidden gems in there if you missed it. But y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.